Welcome to the Nairn County podcast, which is brought to you in association with our digital partner Ziyen Energy, the leading blockchain software and digitalisation experts leading the field in emerging technologies related to oil and gas tokenisation. For more, go to ziyen.com. In this episode of the Nairn County podcast, our Director of Football, Graham McLeod, is joined by county legend Garry Ewing to look back over Gary's career in the game. In this, the first of a four-part special, Garry will tell us about playing away at Hibernian for Nairn in the Scottish Youth Cup, moving to full-time football at Ross County to play under the late Neale Cooper, and looming with a future England international whilst on trial at Nottingham Forest. We hope you enjoy listening to Gary's memories on this episode of the Nairn County podcast.
Garry Ewing, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Nairn County podcast.
No worries, Graham. Thank you for having me.
So just want to see how things are with you. What you've been up to lately? Obviously lockdown, I take it the boys will be a handful for you at the moment.
Oh, I just living the dream at the moment, staying at home. It's tough going, but we're getting there. But the sooner the pubs open up so I can ease back in my drinking would be it's tough, but it's tough for everyone, so hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel soon.
So what would just take you back to your younger days, starting out in football? What's your earliest memories of getting involved in football, getting into playing football? Your father, Alan, was a great player with St Ninian for many years. Did you have memories of going along to watch him as a youngster?
All I really remember from growing up was football from a really young age. As you say, my old man played for Saints. My Saturday was normally going up watching Saints sort of in the early afternoon, and then going up to county games in the later afternoon to get the second half of Nairn games. Saints games I always remember were Heinz's dad. So Heinz's dad used to play for Saints. Tony Miller, his old man, was at Saints as well. So it was always like the three of us, me, young Tony and Heinzie, always kicking a ball about up at the showfield, watching the dads play, I guess. And then, as I say, heading up to Station Park to watch county. But yeah, football's always been a big part of my family, even with my mum. In some ways, my sister, I guess her life was always kind of a little bit put on hold with my folks driving me about all over the country pretty much to play football. So yeah, it was a big part of my life growing up.
Who were the names and faces in the Nairn team at the time? You mentioned going over at Station Park to watch games. Do you remember any particular players from when you were young?
So Sharpie was obviously playing. Who else would have been there? Dano, Johnny Davidson, a few of the young boys as well. Craig Darby was always, I think, one of the more promising Nairn players. He was there as well. There was a few Piddler. I mean, all of these guys, watching them up at Nairn County or even down at the Riverside watching the Welfare League football. Nairn was always really good for football. You were guaranteed games on a Saturday, and through the week you were guaranteed games down at the Riverside as well. Yeah. And it was always boys you were watching week in, week out. A lot of them played Welfare League football and then would go and play for county on the Saturday as well. And that's the way it was in Nairn growing up. It was, I think football was a lot of people's lives, played it day in or watching it on the TV as well. So, yeah. But a lot of the local faces that you would always see on the Saturday.
You played in the youth teams at Nairn from a young age. Who were the guys that were in these sorts of teams alongside you?
So the youth teams, I guess, it was a kind of strange setup, and since I've said to you that I would do this, I've been kind of racking my brains as to what the actual setup was, and I knew that the sort of under-18s was Nairn County under-18s, but before that it was there were sort of under-14s and under-16s, and maybe they were affiliated with Nairn County, but for some reason I always remember getting picked up at the community centre, Nairn Community Centre, and going through to play the street league football through there. So from under 14s, I guess that was the start of in my eyes, a really good squad of Nairn players. So there was Stephen McClatchy, Stephen Willocks, Archie Scott, Stephen Penman, Derek McLean, Scholesy. Like a lot of good young players. And as I say, going through under 14s was the start of the street league games for me through Inverness. Inverness teams hated us. There was Inverness Street League, so I think they all saw it as, why are Nairn playing in this? They shouldn't be playing in this. And under 14s was I guess, squad coming together. Don't remember ever winning that match with the under-14s. But then going up into the under 16s was when we started winning quite a bit of games, winning quite a lot of silverware. And I was a lot younger than some of the boys that I was playing with. So even in the under 16s, I think I was maybe just turning 15, so too old for the under 14s, but going up in the under 16s. And then as the under 16s, it was Charlie Kennedy that was the coach of the under 16s. You know yourself, Charlie, a really, really good guy, and sad to hear of his passing just the other week. But as a coach, I think if you asked any one of the players that played under Charlie, he was such a good motivator. Even if you won a game, you soon got brought back down to earth. Whether you were winning a game 4, 5, 6, 7-0, you were soon told that get your mind on the next game. A really good guy, really good coach. I always remember one story of him. Wasn't actually to do with football. So he was a keen golfer as well, and he was the coach of the Nairn Bar team, or the captain of the Nairn Bar team. I remember playing against this guy from Forest, and I stepped off the 15th green, and I'd just won that to go 3-up with 3 to play. And I saw Charlie walking towards me, and I thought, oh, he's going to be coming over, pat on the back, got this match in the bag. And he came over to me and he said, are you going to hurry up and beat this guy? You should have beaten him about 6 holes ago. And I thought, well, that just summed him up. It was just, you think you're doing so well, and he brought you back down to think that, right, you've still got a long way to go in whatever you're doing, whether it's playing golf, whether it's playing football, whether it's doing anything. So no, I've got a lot of, or my mum has, should I say, a scrapbook of a lot of good photos of boys in the youth team from sort of under 14s to under 16s in the Street League, with a lot of silverware, and a lot of that's down to Charlie. But as I say, I think a lot of boys would agree that he was a really good coach, and I don't think half of us would have been as good a player as what we were without him as being the coach with us. So no, it's good memories, and it's good to think about those days, I guess, when I've been thinking of doing this.
There was a memorable game away against Hibernian at Easter Road in the Scottish Youth Cup when you went on from under 16s. What are your memories of that trip? I suppose it's a special one, playing at an SPL ground, and especially for you as being a Jambo.
Aye. So again, the under 14s, the under 16s, so it's a lot of the same boys moved up into the under 18s. So it was a really good squad, and although you don't think about it, then you're just playing football with your mates, but you've played with the same players for the last sort of 6, 7, 8 years, going up into the under 18s and whatnot. So it was good times. We had a really, really good squad of players. And yeah, that game, so I don't know if it's still called it now, but I think it was the BP Youth Cup that it was called back in the day. Can't remember how we got there, who we played to get there, but when the draw was made that we were going to be playing against Hibs, as you say, being a Hearts fan, rubbing your hands at the prospect of playing against them, and playing against some really good players. Again, back then you didn't know it, but now it was sort of Kenny Miller. What's the other boy's name? There was a few players that went on to make professional careers out of it. Kenny Miller being the standout one. And it was just a great day. We weren't expecting to be playing at Easter Road, and we got to play at Easter Road. So the first time a lot of the boys, and probably the last time that a lot of the boys got to play in such a stadium. And we, to be honest, we made a good account of ourselves. I think we ended up getting beat about, I think it was maybe 5 or 6-0. I think the last 3 of those goals kind of came in the last 15 minutes, when obviously the professional side of it shows out for them. And then obviously the bus journey home, as with any Nairn game, no matter where you're playing, a lot of underage boys on the bus, but we all had a fair scoop on the way home. And I think, again, if you asked any of the players, it was where a lot of us got our nicknames on the way home in the bus. So Hovis was the coach. And again, you would have played under Hovis. It's just a laugh a minute with him. He's got his serious side, but I think in general he was just a really good motivator. Always put a smile on your face whether you were playing good or playing crap. And it was where a lot of us, or every one of us, got a nickname coming home on that bus journey. And to this day, I think they've all stuck. Every single one of them. Some of them, I scratch my head as to think what the hell's he called that for, but all the names are stuck. But no, it was a really good day out. I think everybody had a great day. Parents and all. There was parents. Took a good squad of people down with us to watch the game. So yeah, it was good.
You then go to Ross County. Tell us how that came about.
So obviously through the street league and that, you're playing in Inverness week in, week out, and then going up into the sort of Highland League under 18s. I think at that time I was still only 16, I think. We're coming towards the end of 16 into 17. I don't think I'd signed S forms for Nairn at the time, and I'd been speaking to Cali, obviously with playing in Inverness, Cali was kind of always looking for players. And then I think I'd played it was a Scottish schoolboys trial, and I'm pretty sure it was Danny McDonald spoke to me after one of those games and asked if I wanted to go up and train at Ross County. It was actually myself, Gary Hanna, and maybe my memory's playing tricks on me, but I'm pretty sure Two Hoops went up to County as well. So we would travel up every Tuesday, Thursday night. The dads would take a turn of driving us up. So Garhana's dad would drive us up, Nicole's dad and my dad. And that went on for a while. And Nairn were still trying to get me to sign S forms there as well. But after discussing it with my parents, I was enjoying it going up to Ross County. I didn't think I would, just with the travelling and whatnot, but I was enjoying it going up. So I signed S forms with Ross County, and then just started playing from there.
So were you straight in full time when you went up there, or
No. So left. So I was still in school, travelling up and forth, playing. So it was the development league, it was called then. So right. You were playing a lot of teams from down south, the Central Belt. So the Celtics, the Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, and all that. So it was a good development for me. They started up the YTS, or the Skill Seeker project, it was called then. So there was it 6 of us? So there was myself, Stephen Mackay, Sid Bryzy McLeod, Graham Monroe, Davy Calder, and Gaz Stewart. We all signed as YTS from there, which was good. And yeah, just an eye-opener. I mean, a lot of us, we were 16, 17-year-olds. I ended up staying up in Dingwall, so me and Gaz Stewart shared a room up in Dingwall. So he became a sort of really, really close friend. I mean, we were all really close friends because we were all came through the development league for a couple of years with the 5 or 6 of us. So yeah, signed sort of Skill Seeker or YTS contracts as it was back then, which was good.
So what's it like living in the digs? You've gone from living at home to living in digs with your teammates. Must be a few stories.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It took a bit of getting used to. As I say, it was only me and Gaz Stewart to begin with, because there was only a few of us taken on, and Sid and all that, they all stayed in Invergordon, so they could kind of travel back and forth to Dingwall. Wasn't too far from them. But yeah, just Gareth Stewart. So I've listened to the Carl Donaldson podcast, and he talks about his bad back. And Christ, did I hear about that bad back? Jesus. I mean, it was a bad injury that he got, but God, I was like his living maid. Everything that I had to do was, I can't get this. I've got a sore back. So, but no, it was good. We had really good, I guess, hosts that looked after us in the house that we stayed in. I still kept in touch with them for years and years after that. It was a really good setup that Ross County had. They'd done their homework on making sure that the people we were going to stay with were a family. They sort of kept our feet on the ground, weren't going out partying until all hours, like we shouldn't be. So no, it was a good setup, and it was good to have somebody like Gaz Stewart to, I guess, through that first year, when we were both staying away from home, we kind of just knocked our heads together and found stuff to do. I won't share all the stories of the things we used to do, but no, it was good. It was good, and a time you wouldn't change. There were moments where I thought, will I go home and kind of just make the commute back up and forth? But I think Gary made it that little bit easier for the two of us. I hope I did made it his life a little bit easier during that time as well.
Yeah, you mentioned playing at Nairn, and it was a lot more like just playing with your mates in the youths at Nairn. How did you find the training and the standards going from that to Ross County?
The first couple of years at Ross County were really good. So as I say, the boys' names that I mentioned, we got brought in. So Ross County weren't long, I think, in the professional league. So it was a lot of still Highland League boys that were there. So they hadn't all gone full time. From memory, I think there might have been 8, maybe 10 players that were full time. And then the other guys were still part time. So they were still just training Tuesday, Thursday. But because we were full time, you soon well, I felt that you soon realised that you were becoming that little bit sharper to the boys that were coming in on a Tuesday, Thursday night who were still part-time. You could definitely notice the difference with the boys that were coming in, as to say, still in part-time. But no, just a really good bunch of boys. I mean, there was Connor Campbell, who was full time, but he was still quite young. So although he was sort of on, I guess, professional contracts, he still kind of palled about with us, being the YTS boys, because I guess we're similar ages and whatnot. But like Sid, Graham Monroe, Brian McLeod, I mean, all of these boys, I think, at one stage have played for Nairn as well. Yeah, we all became really close, quite friendly, and yeah, a lot of good memories from times with them.
Neale Cooper was the manager at the time. Sadly passed away a couple of years ago as well, but he was a guy who, as a player, reached the top of the game in Scotland, and he won European trophies with Aberdeen. What was it like working under him?
Yeah, no, as you said, sad news to find out that he passed away. But yeah, a really, really good guy, really infectious character, just always bubbly, always with a smile on his face. Even in defeat, as with any footballer, I guess, you can sit in your defeats and let it fester for days and days and days, and it kind of eats you up. But although it did with him, you kind of felt that on a Monday morning that was it. It was a clean sheet. You just get back on with it and get back into it. But yeah, just a really infectious character. So many stories to tell. For the YTS boys, it was good because we were always in first thing in the morning, quite early in the morning, to do the boots, do all your tidying up duties and whatnot. But he was always in with you first thing, and I think that's where you got to see the sort of best side of him, joking about. And on a one-to-one side of things as well, I mean, it was always hard when the older, more experienced professionals start coming in during the day, and he kind of switches their attention to them, and rightly so. But from a sort of first thing in the morning type thing, that was when sort of the YTS boys, I think, got to see the side of him that I still remember, the stories, the impersonating Alec Ferguson and whatnot, which is the cliche stories that you hear about him. But I mean, they were funny, and no matter how many times you did them, you would always laugh at them. The first time I actually had met him was years and years before that. My dad had taken me to a sportsman's dinner, a St Ninian's sportsman's dinner, and Neale Cooper was one of the speakers at it. And again, the stories that he tells, just really, really funny. But I mean, I was quite young. I can't remember how old I was, maybe 14 or 15, I can't remember. But I actually went up and got his autograph. And then to go on and for him to be my sort of first manager or gaffer, then it was quite a moment for me. He wasn't my hero because I wasn't an Aberdeen fan or anything, but I guess that night, just hearing all the stories and what he went to go on and achieve in his career, and then for me to go and be managed by him, yeah, it was quite a good point for me. But yeah, just a great guy and a good coach, and even on the pitch and training, he would always take part in training and be skinning boys that were 10 years his younger, so still had it in the training, but just that, as I say, just a really bubbly guy. Glad that I had that part of my life, I guess, playing with him.
You then had a trial down at Nottingham Forest. Can you tell us how that came about and what that was like?
Yeah, so I think it was during the time when I was playing at it was like trials, quite a lot of trials for the Scottish schoolboys, and one of the trials was down in Edinburgh. So played in that, and then just after one of the games, somebody came up to me, and it was a Nottingham Forest scout, and just said that they would like me to go down for, I can't remember, I think it was 2 or 3 days. So obviously took them to speak to my parents because I was like, what? So yeah, spoke to my mum and dad, and then I can't quite remember how quickly after that it happened, but they flew me down to have trials down at Nottingham Forest, and there was myself, and I think there was 2 other boys as well. One boy from Celtic, one boy from Rangers, I think it was. Can't remember their names. So there was 3 of us in total that went down from Scotland, and had 2 or 3 days training and a few practice matches and that down there. I always remember we got put up in, it was like a hostel type place where all the sort of players met before the match the following day, and it was always obviously all the young Nottingham Forest YTS boys and whatnot, and I got put into this room with 2 young boys. Well, there was one young boy to begin with, and I was trying to get to sleep, and then the next minute another young boy came in, and as I say, it was dark, I was trying to get to sleep, didn't really know who it was, and then in the morning I wake up we go through for breakfast and whatnot, go out for our training, play the game, and then at night it was England against, I can't remember who it was, in a qualifier, and Ian Wright comes on the pitch. I'm thinking, and everybody starts cheering, and look at these two boys that I've been sharing a room with, and it was Sean Wright Phillips and Bradley Wright. I had no idea who it was. And they're all obviously always winding them up, saying, "Oh, your dad's going to score, your dad's going to score." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I've just been sleeping in a room with two boys that I didn't know who they were, and it's Ian Wright's sons." And they've obviously gone on to have a far better career than I did. But yeah, it was a weird time. I was really young. As I say, I think maybe just turned 16. I think first time I'd been on a plane. Going down on my own, first time really staying away from my parents on my own. So it was kind of a weird feeling. You want to do well, but at the same time, there was part of me was thinking, God, I just want to get out here quick enough just to get home. But again, a good experience, and one that I'm glad I had.
The Nairn County Podcast is brought to you in association with our digital partners, Ziyen Energy. Click on Ziyen.com to find out more.